What you waiting for? It's time. Time for love. It's time. Time for the sun and sand. It's time. Time for fun. It's time. It's time. It's time to let your hair down. Come on. Come on. Come on. To have no fear. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. It's time. What you waiting for? It's time. 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 What you waiting for?
A very warm welcome to another edition of the Merv Brito Show. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Merv Brito, and as we always do on a Sunday, we're broadcasting live from the most beautiful place in the world, our own backyard, and the place we sometimes take for granted, the beautiful city of Goa. Is it a city? Is it a city?
State.
It's a state, the state of Goa. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about multiple interesting things. Goa's first representation at Miss World, a Goan girl, Sadhvi Satish Sail. Justice Rebello calls to reconvene the adjourned assembly, which he should be doing. And the first Indian-flagged LPG tanker transits the Strait of Hormuz, which is good news to a lot of the people that are claiming about higher prices and running out of LPG and natural fuels. Coming up with a lot more stuff, very interesting, and a lot more stuff that make you laugh. But first, as we always do on the show, we give thanks to all the people that make this happen. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in saying thank you and welcoming the rest of the Merv Brito team, starting with Mr. Ajoy Barreto.
Hey Merv, hi everybody. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing swell on this Sunday.
Swell, there's a word I haven't heard in a while. Ladies and gentlemen, we're missing the Willie himself. He's at a function. I don't know where he is, but in his place, we've got a face only made for radio, Mr. Yusuf Mataji.
Hey buddy, how everybody? After a long time.
You're looking dapper with those shades on, mate.
I'm following Howard Stern.
You want to be Howard Stern?
Yeah, like that.
Howard Stern's a shared Howard Stern. We don't have Neil he's not feeling well. Neil, I hope you're feeling better. He's part of the team. Willie's at a function, and we will mention some names. But first and foremost, last but not the least, the sugar in my coffee, the milk in my tea, the wordinator, the terminator, the wordsmith, the breakfast queen, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mrs. Joanne Barreto.
Wow, thank you very much. Is this my legacy? Is this what I'm ever going to be known for?
See, that's an introduction.
I'm sure there's a little bit more than that, but anyway, thank you.
Somebody's phone is on. I could hear a little ding just now. I heard it.
It wasn't me.
And you're buying me dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, we do this show, and it takes a team to put it all together, and I always like to give thanks to people that make it happen. We do this. It's a work of, it's a, what is it?
Labor of love.
It's a labor of love. The wordinator steps in for me. It is a labor of love, and we do the show live every Sunday, broadcast here from Goa. Is he calling in?
Willie's calling in, yeah.
Put him on the air, dude. He's not here. I'm missing him. I want to know. Somebody's still dinging, dude. One of the PCs is on. We do the show. It's a labor of love. We do the show live from Goa every Sunday, and it's a live. You can tell. You can hear all the background sounds and the mistakes and the things happening. Willy Wonka, where are you? Sang mare. Wala mare. You put him on mute. That's on mute, Ajoy.
I thought the cat got his tongue.
Sang. Speak. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I had called to say congratulations to my uncle and aunt, Dr. Luis Fernandez and Miss Azucena Fernandez, on celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary.
50 years. Can I ask you a question? Is her name really Anuncia? What's her name?
Azucena.
Wow, there's a name, babe. 50 years of being married, yes?
Wow,
Yes,
they both
correct.
deserve sainthoods, I'm sure.
You get less for murder. What I'm saying to you is, Willie, is it a big party, and where is it happening, dude?
It's right in your backyard, actually, in Parra.
Snacks ad Mariamka. Huh? Tell Doc and his wife congrats. We actually wished him live on the air. A congratulations, and I hope you make it another 50 years. I hope you have a good time, Willie. We're missing you in the studio, Baba.
Yep, I heard.
We were talking about you. We've got a replacement. He's not much of a replacement. He's a discount version of you, but he's trying to help Ajoy out today. Listen, have a great time. Listen to the show. Call in a little bit later. But wish everybody there for us.
Make any mess.
Yeah.
So I hope Yusuf doesn't make any mess.
Yusuf, he can't see you, Baba. You can put the shades on.
He wants the wah.
He wants to put a sound. He's going to try and get you back, Willie, with a sound effect. Anyway, have a lovely time. Wish everybody for us. Congratulations. Yes. Gali, begin Gali.
Yes.
Have fun.
Done. It's not going to work. See you, Willie. We'll talk to you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, like I started to say, we do the show live from Sunday, every Sunday from Goa. It is a labor of love, and we're very passionate about talking about things that are happening here locally and around the world, but they affect us all. And the reason, you don't have to be Indian, you don't have to be Goan, you don't even have to be somebody that lives here. You can be somebody anywhere around the world that has been to Goa, that loves the place and wants to know what's going on. Our little take on what's happening. Not always going to be serious. We have a good laugh, but we like to talk about things that are trending and happening, topical things that are happening not only in Goa, in India, and around the world. So the Rebello show is live, being broadcast. I want to put the social media sites. We introduce all our social media sites. You can tune in and stream us live on Insta, on YouTube, on a lot of the places you get your social media. Check out the Rebello show. You can check out our website to see more about us and about previous episodes at www.themerbelloshow.com. And if you don't believe we're live, call this number 7507 246 and see if anybody answers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Rebello show, and let's jump right in.
Well, I just wanted to ask you about the opinions that are expressed on the show, Merv. Tell us a bit more about them.
It is. I'm glad I forgot. Thanks, Joanne. What a good cue. The opinions expressed on the show are the opinions of the people expressing them, and not the expressed or implied opinions of the Rebello show. We're going to be talking about some contentious topics, and it's not always everybody's cup of tea, but I should say the word a-religious, apolitical. We're not supporting anybody, not promoting or selling anything.
No.
These are our opinions.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
we like to shine a little bit of a spotlight on things that are going on. And like you said, it's not all about, controversial topics or negative things that are going on and happening around the world and in our backyard. It's actually also about the opportunity to be able to just be able to express a few opinions, maybe incite a little bit of debate, and then also spotlight and highlight some great stuff that's also going on, which I think Goa's made some headlines overnight, which is fabulous.
Yeah, we talk about. I'm so excited, and I still don't know if this young lady is from Goa. I'm claiming her anyway. Let's talk about this. Her name is Sadhvi Satish Sail, if I'm pronouncing it properly. Yeah. She's newly crowned Miss India World 2026.
That's correct.
And it's been publicized. I'm not making this up. It's on the screen right now. Meet Goa's Sadhvi Satish Sail, newly crowned Miss India World 2026. And they claim that she's from Goa.
Yeah, they're saying her background hails from Goa. So I don't know where she exactly grew up, because I was actually trying to find out.
Can I tell you, she was my neighbor in Saligaon.
Oh, yeah, is that
She's
right?
a fox. She's from Saligaon. She's beautiful. And you know what's more important? She's really smart, Joanne.
She is, yeah.
Where have you been hiding her from me?
Baba, we used to play badminton at the Saligaon Institute. You laugh at me.
She loves a bit of badminton and beekeeping and pottery, and she also speaks 7 languages.
Dude, she's way out of my league, I tell you that.
I love all of that now.
But she's also a graduate of economics and international relations from the University of British Columbia as well.
BC? Mm-hmm. But she went to another university. They mentioned it. You mentioned the name earlier. Only BC?
British Columbia, University of British Columbia.
brains and beauty.
Absolutely.
I'm only saying what we're reading on the screen, but she's of Goan heritage, and I'd love to find out which village. Let's make it up and just say she's from Saligaw. Yeah, she was my neighbor from Saligaw. Listen, Sadhvi, if you're listening to the show, will you please call in and tell them about my jump serve, my jump smash when we used to play badminton together. She's a bright girl. She's a smart girl.
Absolutely, yeah. Apparently she's, as well as being a model, she's an entrepreneur and also co-founder of a construction firm as well.
I love these stories.
Yeah.
And it's not always about bagging and all the bad things that are happening. Joanne, what happens now? She's Miss India World 2026. She gets into Miss Universe or
Miss World. She gets put forward to the Miss World competition this year.
Congratulations, Sadhvi. You know what? I laugh and joke, and I don't know you from Adam, but you make us proud. Not specifically as an Indian, but even more importantly, in our own little backyard, a place called Goa. I'd love to find out where in Goa and find out more. We love what's happening here in Goa, but a lot of times there's a lot of stuff that we don't like that is happening in Goa. There's a badass right now who's from the Wild Wild West. He's the new sheriff in town, a gentleman named Justice Rebello. He's actually trying to get Reconvene the
assembly. He's trying to get the assembly reconvened because it was cut short, wasn't it? Because of the by-election that was supposed to be happening down south in Ponda, and so essentially they cut the assembly short. So he's basically saying, "Come on, guys, let's get it back together again, and let's reconvene." And you know, this enough is enough movement. They're getting very, very serious, actually, and it's good to know that he really is, rallying the troops. They've got a permanent office in Panjim, so I believe
I'd like to know more.
Inaugurated on the 7th of April, and we've sent him an email as well this week to their offices.
Have you?
Yeah, essentially saying, hey, we'd love to interview you, have you as a guest on the show. Obviously, we can go and meet him wherever he is, interview him face to face, and just get more of a take on the campaign, Enough is Enough, and also, the initiatives and the momentum that they've got, basically.
Justice Rebello is one of the few people in a long time that's come along that has the pedigree, that has the caliber, that has the experience, that has the history. He's a judge, and he's making waves and going. And this is the kind of person, because you're going to run up against some very serious numbers, people, organizations that are going to try and put you down or set you back because you're screwing up their plan. And I like the fact that he's actually gaining steam.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's essentially saying that the chief minister needs to take a bit of a selective and considered approach on the issue of scrapping Section 39A of the Town and Country Planning Act, because obviously we know that if they scrap that completely, then it could become a little bit more of a Wild West in terms of planning and building projects and construction.
It's already a Wild West.
Well, we know, but there'll be no guardrails left, I think.
No. Essentially, Joanne, just to explain, we are meant to have a regional plan, a fixed regional plan that was supposed to be implemented way back when. I think about
2021 was it?
We've had multiple regional plans now, Joy.
2021 was the recent deadline. I think before that we had like 2020, and before that many more.
Yeah.
And it's for my money, it's been deliberately kept confusing. It's not been regularized. It's not been put in stone to allow for people to take advantage of 39A to build whatever you want. So in my backyard now, you see, even though the land use maps say that you can build ground plus 1 or ground plus 2, there are buildings that are coming with ground plus 9.
Whoa.
So one wonders what the hell's going on.
But
really.
it all boils down to money, and that's why I'm actually happy. And we need to support this gentleman. He's going to face a lot of opposition. Whenever there's money and big money involved, somebody like this who's a single voice, I don't care how powerful you are, is going to face a lot of strife and a lot of pushback, right? So if you have the opportunity for this guy to come along once in a while and do something, because it's rampant.
Yeah. But he's also saying that the president has actually taken notice. So the president of India has taken notice of their 10-point plan as well. So, he's got attention at the highest levels also.
Justice Rebello, I support you. I back you. I will do whatever I can here on the show, the Rebello Show. We will do whatever we can, our little share to support you and back you. But let me tell you, enough is enough. It's on the screen. Put it back. I want to see that. That's a headline and I'm happy about the fact that he's gaining steam. Enough is enough. Gives 15 days deadline, threatens of Panjim March.
Yeah.
You know what?
Is basically because he's saying we need to just reconvene the assembly.
But you know, the assembly's not.
If they don't,
the assembly's not in. The assembly's not spending enough time in the assembly. They don't have enough time to be able to debate these issues.
It was cancelled, if you remember, because of the Ponda by-election.
Which got cancelled.
Yes.
So the fact of the matter remains, he is gaining steam, and I wish him all the best. And I hope, reconvene the assembly, get him in and make him do their jobs.
And you know what? I think we need more voices from the political parties backing him up. I find that after that, the protests that happened in Azad Maidan, things have gotten a little quiet, don't you think?
There are a lot of things that he is going to stir the pot, poke the hornet's nest, Ajoy, and he needs support. 39A is one of them, the right to protest. There's a lot of things that are happening, and like you said earlier about the regional plan, they like to keep people in the dark. They like to keep people confused and not know exactly what's happening. And as a politician, we know about it. You don't need to know about it. We'll take BS. You're a public servant. This is public information, and somebody like a Justice Rebello needs all the support he can get.
Absolutely.
So kudos to. Speaking of High Court, something that was mentioned was the director of Panchayats has issued show cause notices to 98 Panchayat secretaries.
Yes.
They're not following the rules, failing to submit mandatory compliances.
Correct, yeah. So apparently a lot of these panchayats have said that they have actually submitted their reports to their advocates, and they had submitted it to the courts as well, but not necessarily to the nodal officer. So I believe that they'd revise this down from 120 panchayats show cause notices down to 98. However, they're kind of feeling that, of course, there will be actions taken against some of these panchayats for illegal constructions, but they feel that once they've gone through the reports and some of these records that have been submitted, that there won't be as many outstanding legal actions.
Can I tell you, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, one of my biggest pain points. And Justice Rebello, if you're listening, I'm sure he knows, dude, but the panchayats are voted and elected by the people locally. And you've got a sarpanch, and you've got the deputy sarpanch, and you've got all the punch members that are supposed to represent local areas within a village. And it has broken my heart for so long that you've got panchayats in every corner of Goa, in every village in Goa, but they're not actually there. Or a lot of them, I'm not gonna pass a blanketed statement, but a lot of them are not there to do their jobs. A lot of them are there just there to make some money, and they don't really give a shit until they get elected again and they make more money. And here again, this is my opinion, and I'm saying this, I'm putting this out there. It's broken my heart for a long time that if you're not doing your job, for example, you've had to have show cause notice issued to 98 panchayats. The secretaries aren't doing their jobs, but I would love there to be more enforcement and more repercussions for a panchayat going rogue or doing something wrong. Because you know what? These guys are allocating permissions to people to build in some of the most illegal places. Ajoy, 9 stories? That's ridiculous, dude.
So it depends on if it's a municipality area like it is in mine, or it's a village area which comes under the panchayats. Now, the panchayats are basically, I would say, the fag end of this whole sordid saga of permissions. But there are other permissions that come right from the top, from the TCP department, from the various departments that grant approvals, plans and approvals. Where is their responsibility in all of this?
Yeah, and the panchayats are supposed to be the people, boots on the ground kind of thing, no?
Correct.
If there's something that has to be done and anybody's up in arms, then normally the punch members get together and they come out to the site.
Yeah, correct. And I mean, we've seen that a lot.
Of course.
Actually.
Here, Daniel's out. He's out on the street all the time, checking to see what's happening, legal, illegal. And then they come to a decision. They come up, if 2 neighbors or whatever the case may be, you see it happening here in Para all the time, which is a good thing, right?
Exactly.
But the fact of the matter remains, you hear they try to shut down some nightclubs, some night action, blah, blah, blah. It's the Panchayat that is giving the permissions. And those are the gatekeepers. Those are, what are they called? Not gatekeepers. What are they called? The keepers of the people that you trust, that you elect to take care of things, boots on the ground.
Yeah. Apparently, the Directorate of Panchayats is actually seeking an inquiry and also responses within 4 weeks. So they're giving a 4-week deadline so that obviously the records and, the reports can actually be studied. And then after that, that's when they want to start implementing.
I find it really funny, though. I find it really funny that it takes the Supreme Court or court body to get them to
do your job.
Yes.
Ajoy, you're being paid a salary.
Yes.
You're not doing this for free. This is not a hobby. You have been elected, but you are being paid a salary. Do your job. Why should the court have to find 98 panchayats?
And imagine, none of this the ball would have never started rolling, at least now, if it wasn't, sadly, for the fact that 25 people or 26 people died in that tragedy at Baga.
Yeah.
This is a birch fire?
Yeah, this is all with regards, it all started with the birch fire. If people had not unfortunately passed away, things would have been just going on as normal, with no consequence, illegality here, left, right, and center.
But like I said, that's exactly why I mentioned that it breaks my heart, because you see it happen. And I call this, I call it's like the gout disease. Gout that people know that they have. It's always happening in the joints between your fingers and toes and blah, blah, blah. When you start noticing that these people are supposed to be protecting you, the panchayats are supposed to be protecting local land. It's always between two, what is it called? The confluence of two jurisdictions, right? So the village that borders and that butt up against each other, for example, Para and Nagua and Saligao and Para, Kalangut and Nagua. You have these shops that pop up like mushrooms, and they're being backfilled into the fields, and suddenly you'll have a structure being built a couple of months later, and the panchayat's giving him electrical connections. Somebody's making money. They're doing this illegally, and this breaks my heart because it won't affect me. I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I'll be dead and gone. But the panchayats are trusted to protect the local community and their local land. And they're the gatekeepers to make sure that whatever's being done is being done by the rules, by the law, legally. And it's not always happening that way, and it scares me. It saddens me. But anyway, that's the way it works.
So the directorate is supposedly compiling a consolidated status report. So for any notices issued, any fines that have been given, and also the overall status of any.
Reports, compliances, all the kind of stuff that you're supposed to do.
Any, construction. So they're just trying to, and any demolitions that have also been carried out. So they're essentially just trying to get an overall consolidated report of the status across the state of Goa.
Do your jobs.
And we're missing one crucial, what do you call, status that needs to be added to that report.
What's that?
Any guesses?
One status that needs to be added that's missing?
Yep.
I would love to guess, dude.
Joanne?
Can I make a guess based on what I would like to see?
I'm thinking about
the amount of money that's generated by Panchayat,
yes,
by the Sarpanch, and every member that generates. I would love to see their tax report. That should be made public.
Exactly. I think
You should not be allowed to squirrel away money in friends and family and relatives' names. Everybody that is in a public position that is being paid a salary as a government servant should have to declare and be completely transparent about their finances.
Absolutely. And further to that, I would like to see a report on who's given permissions illegally or have not done their job, and action taken against them.
I love that, dude. Why don't you stand? I would vote for you.
I'm ready to stand, but just make it easy. I don't want to be, giving hafta and all for my votes, eh?
No, but that's a scary. We laugh and joke about it. It's a serious thing, and that's exactly why we do the show. This is our contribution to try and make a change. You see it happen all the time, and it really drives me mad. You see these. Well, there's a 200-year-old tree allegedly chopped down in defiance.
Two of them.
But I don't get it, Joanne. What's that all about?
Junction.
Quit.
Near the Sorrow Junction.
Sango.
Carry on.
No, you speak in Konkani. I just said that, and you continued on. Can you speak any Konkani, Joanne?
Yeah.
You got any Indian in you? The Sadhvi's from Goa. She's Indian. Do you have any Indian in you? You know my joke. I'm not going to. All right, go on. Sorry. Tell me, I'm really bothered about the 200-year-old trees.
Yeah, so there's some environmental groups that have basically been saying that a High Court stay order has actually been ignored, and 200-year-old trees have actually been felled during a demolition process at midnight hours. So like in the dead of night.
People should go to jail.
When there's no one around.
People should go to jail. When you cut down a beautiful tree, yes, obviously you're going to have to cut down some trees. It's got to happen. I'm not a tree hugger. Why do you need to be doing demolition at midnight?
Yeah.
And why do you can you not figure out, this is it's taken 200 years for this tree to grow.
They're talking about the girth of the trees, which is obviously showing how old the trees actually are. And it's just a real shame because they'd already felled about 31 trees already, but these obviously, with them being so old, there was a stay order not to cut them down.
This is in direct what is it called? Defiance. And it's scary. But I'm not a tree hugger, dude. I love nature. I love the environment, global warming. I love all these things, and we've got to be careful about it in our own backyard, litter and garbage and all. But I'm saying to you, it really bothers me because you've got a department called the Forestry Department.
Yeah.
And they should crack the whip, come down hard on the people. Somebody needs to go to jail. Adro, you mentioned the birch fire, people died, and rules are changing. But you've got departments, official government departments are supposed to be monitoring this, right?
Yes.
Why aren't people getting fined or even make a case, make an example and put people in jail for doing this? Because it's illegal. You don't need to be doing this at night.
Absolutely.
These trees generate oxygen. These trees are green.
They absorb carbon dioxide. They do so much for us.
God.
And you know what? They add to the beauty of Goa.
You can't glue them back. You can't replant them, mate.
No.
You're cutting trees and not replanting trees, but you're cutting a 200 or 100 or whatever year old tree that's taken and made this place so beautiful.
You know, Merv, the thing is there is technology today to, if you're smart enough, you could actually transplant that tree. You downsize it.
You can't do a 200-year-old tree, Baba.
You could. Trust me, they've done it before. What do you need to do is
What do you mean, prune it back?
Prune it a little bit so that it reduces its bulk.
Yeah.
Then you basically reduce its roots, and then you get a heavy-duty crane and you move it aside. But you know what? I think there's a business involved in getting wood from these trees.
Ajoy,
There's money to be made, and people don't give a damn.
You've got a brain, and you've mentioned something that's really, really doable that can actually be implemented, right? You mean to tell me there's no government official to think what you're saying?
Like I said, I think because there's money to be made illegally, whoever's making the money, that's why they're allowing this to happen. That's why they're turning a blind eye to these things.
It shouldn't be allowed. Listen, every tree you cut down, they should be planting 5 or 10. We've got hillsides. We've got places around here during the monsoon that we want to absorb water. The water table, the problem with trees being cut down, it's getting hotter and hotter, global warming. But a 200-year-old tree...
Yeah.
It's sad, dude. Anyway.
Apparently, there's 131 more trees that have actually been earmarked to be cut down as well because of some road expansion. So, this is becoming more of a problem because they've already cut down 31 trees, and they're essentially saying that there's, this violation has already occurred. And I didn't realize they were saying the Goa Green Brigade. I thought that was just a slang term, but apparently it's an NGO.
Is it Goa Green?
Yeah, Goa Green Brigade. So they're saying they want to approach the High Court because of this illegal activity. It's about road expansion.
Yeah, but it's a silly thing. Then you reroute the road. You can't retransplant a 200-year-old tree, and you're cutting that many. There's got to be better planning and implementation, but more importantly, enforcement. I hope Goa Green, if you are an organization and you're listening, guys, you've got our support. You've got our ears. Yeah. Help us protect these goddamn trees, protect nature, the environment.
Yeah.
Talk about that lake, by the way.
I know. So Mala Lake, apparently there's they're saying that there's oxygen depletion in the lake, which has led to lots of fish dying, which is terrible. So there's an environmental crisis at this particular lake because there's less and less oxygen. So
That's scary.
obviously, the fish can't survive, which is horrendous.
That's scary, right?
So this all feeds into each other. This all rolls. It's all interconnected. All of this stuff.
The point I'm trying to make is this 200-year-old tree. That's one tree. You know how many more trees are being cut down without people knowing? And I'm not talking about construction and development. Of course, a 5-year-old, 10-year-old tree. It's a tree all the same.
Yeah.
But a 200 or 100. You know how long it's a shame when you start having fish in water bodies, either due to pollution, but lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
It shows that the ecosystem is dying there.
But Baba, who's paying attention? Who's watching the watcher? Right? Why is this happening? And why you've got government authorities, bodies, officials that are being paid money, just like these Panchayat members, to do their jobs. You mean to tell me nobody's gone and tested the lake and tested the water and figured out why this is happening and find people or fix the problem? Right? Just fix the problem.
But they're also having to clear the carcasses of the fish because the stench is overwhelming.
And you know what?
only imagine.
Who raced to get it cleared from what I hear? It's the government authorities. They ran there to clear all of this fish. Because you know why? They don't want to look good or bad. Sorry, in this case.
This is an actual picture.
Yeah, this is the actual picture from
you kidding
Mala
me?
Lake.
Isn't it awful?
And bear in mind, this is there was this new highway that was created through Santa Cruz to connect to Bambolim, and they had blocked off a certain part of the mangrove area there, which led to the deadening of all of these mangrove trees, and it's all connected. It's all connected. If you disrupt nature, the flow of water, etc., it's going to lead to these things.
And nature takes care of itself, Ajo. You're absolutely right. Nature has a way of taking care of itself. But this is not one or two fish. Guys, if this picture is true,
It's true.
these are massive fish, dude. How are you killing this many fish? This is not... You really think this is a lack of oxygen?
It's a lack of. It's essentially that.
looks
And
like pollution.
pollution, all of those things.
Citing it as one of the reasons.
Joanne, this is not... Listen, we Goans love our fish, man. Fried fish, nisachikori, suntachikori. But when you killing this volume of fish, and the Salt Lake is a big lake, these are some huge fish, dude.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's asked the questions. Nobody's trying to figure out what the problem is.
Nobody's doing nada.
Oh.
Everybody's doing nada, I mean.
There was something else mentioned about the River Sal. This is Mala Lake, where I don't know. Where's Mala Lake, by the way?
That's next to Panjim. Can you imagine? It's in the...
No, this is next to Panjim.
It's just in the heart of Panjim.
I would be willing, I'm a betting man, and I'd be willing to bet a large sum of money that it is not only due to lack of oxygen. These fish have survived here for many, many years.
but
the oxygen levels don't change overnight.
Yeah, so obviously it's probably, decomposing or stuff that's been dumped in the rivers.
There you go. So it's pollution too.
Pollution. And so this is what they're trying to look at in South Goa, in Binalim. They're essentially wanting to be driven by intelligent data to just check, where the areas of pollution are from source so that they can actually just root it out and obviously tackle it in order to avoid this pollution expanding,
What's his
the
name?
rest of the
Mention
state.
his name, dude. MLA
Venzi
Venzi.
Viegas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's this about, Joanne? Talk about it.
So that's what I'm saying. It's basically they're essentially saying that they want to. This is a pilot project.
Drone mapping
yeah.
for polluted River Sal.
So they want to see where the pollution is coming from. They want to find it at source so that it can be tackled, obviously, and find out, who is maybe potentially polluting the rivers, and then. As opposed to just doing a mass clear-up project, trying to prevent it from happening in the first place.
I love that.
More preventative. So, as I say, it's more of a pilot project that they're saying at the moment, but they want it to collect all the data and for it to be data-driven going forward.
But you can use intelligence, you can use technology, you can use different methods, and I love that.
Yeah.
Venzi, Joy.
Here's an idea for you, Merv. Apart from the drone mapping, which is a start, why not create, like they have here in North Goa, in Anjuna, these noise monitors, water online water monitors.
Baba Majo, give him a round of applause. Come on. Willie just came by and dropped off snacks, by the way, for everybody.
Oh, is that who was knocking on the
Willie
door?
Wonka, thank you, my Baba. Thank you, brother. Thanks very much. He's brought some. We were only kidding, but congratulations once again. If he's in Para, listen, by congratulating the family that's celebrating 50 years, or the couple that's celebrating 50 years, we got one box of snacks. Can we congratulate him 3 more times?
Absolutely.
All jokes aside. Ajoy, you mentioned something that is so basic and so straightforward. But mate, I know you're a smart guy. You're a good-looking guy. You mean to tell me that nobody knows that you can actually have technology or devices that can be put into a lake to monitor the pollutants, how clean the water is, how dirty the water is, where it's coming from? Joanne, Venzi Villegas, my hat's off to you, my brother. Stand up for it. That's exactly what our public officials and I had a discussion the other day with our local MLA. Young buck, smart guy. All of these guys, they're the future. Why don't you incorporate technology to fix these problems?
Yeah.
They can be, no?
You know, it's a classic case. You talk about lack of oxygen in the lakes. There's lack of oxygen in the brains.
It's scad. It's sad and scary. It's scad. There's a new word for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Mala Lake, the River Sal. This is our backyard. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about these issues and they may be contentious.
Yeah.
But these are our opinions and we're only broadcasting and promoting what's actually been put out in print and media out there. These things need to be talked about and these guys need pats on the backs, the people that are doing good things like Venzi Villegas.
Yeah.
You are our public officials and you need to be protecting and doing your jobs as an elected I can't speak.
Elected official.
As an elected official that's supposed to be doing their jobs, being paid a salary, and the trust of the local people, the public is putting their trust in you. Whether you're a Panchayat member, you're the Sarpanch, you're the deputy, you are officials that the local people are entrusting you with our environment.
Yeah, but with this, they're actually wanting to have this interdepartmental communication so that it's not just about untreated sewage, it's also the enforcement to, tackle where this is coming from, and then obviously looking at ways in which that they can start cleaning up these areas as well. So it's all departments working together, pulling together, which is absolutely what is needed.
But Joanne, it should be technologically driven, right? We spoke about, Ajoy, what did we speak about last Sunday when we talked about that dude with long hair, that European dude who's talking about garbage and they're fixing the problem in Mumbai?
Oh, yeah.
So this is all related, right? Cutting a 200-year-old tree, the fish deaths because of quote unquote, supposedly the lack of oxygen, which I don't believe, because it's gotten worse over time, but this has always been there, and you have never seen so many fish just floating on the top of a lake. But the monitoring of the River Sal, use technology, incorporate technology into day-to-day problems.
And then also that can be implemented across other areas in Goa as well. So if you're doing a pilot project and you're getting good findings, and then you just share that way of working so that other areas can also implement it as well.
I mentioned young people, and we talked about the new big dog in Nepal. The ex-rapper who's now the chief, what is he, the prime minister, the chief minister? And that's young blood. Those are that is the next generation of politician. But I love what he's doing in Nepal. We've got a bunch of young people. We spoke about that Raghav, Chadha. We're going to talk about him today?
Yeah, we're just touching on that. And also a little bit touching on, the initiatives and the progress in Nepal since this new government has actually...
Are we going to talk about it? You want to talk about it now? Can we come to it?
I wouldn't talk about it immediately now because we were sticking with Goa.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I spoke about the young people, and I'd love to see another generation that is IT and tech savvy, that can incorporate rules, regulations, the technology, the hardware, the implementation, the monitoring, and the, enforcement.
Yeah.
So when people are breaking rules, use technology. It's out there. Ajoy mentioned monitoring systems, whether it's noise pollution or water pollution or any illegalities, air pollution. You've got the tech, incorporate it. And that's why we do the show, and that's what we're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, you tuned into the Rebello show. And these are our opinions, the opinions of the people speaking about them, and they're not the expressed or implied opinion of the show itself.
That's correct.
For liability reasons. Okay.
correct.
That's heavy, mate. Can we change
Yeah, we're
it
just
around?
going to lighten the mood a little bit. I think this is a little bit more of a light-hearted topic. So
Food.
It's basically
Chicks,
being
women.
reported that there's a Russian lady turning the table on irritating Indian men. So
How dare you?
I think that's just
you
supposed to be
kidding
a
me?
little bit light-hearted because she's interacting with these guys and having a
this
bit
it?
of a laugh. So I don't know, Ajoy, you're going to turn up the volume so it can be heard a little bit.
Unfortunately,
Can we don't have volume?
We don't have
but
volume.
What is she? I love this dude. Is she? You said Russian or British or
No,
European?
she's
What
a
part?
Russian lady.
And what's she doing?
So she was basically been talking with these guys and she's been asking them questions and she's just been getting responses back from them.
So
So,
she's
where you just like plonk down next to somebody and then starting a conversation with them and asking them about certain things.
That's
And
funny, dude.
Maybe misunderstanding with accents and things like that, or maybe not speaking the same language and all.
I think that's brilliant. You know what? Turn the tables.
Yeah, she was turning the tables, but it looks like she had a bit of fun and they all seemed like they were enjoying it, in fact.
I'd love to meet this girl. I'd love to chit chat to her, but more importantly, I'd love to videotape her doing this, and we could put our own twist on it, right? You always see these annoying, and they're not always local. They can be tourists from anywhere. The fact of the matter remains, they come in and they want to take pictures and they want to chit chat these chicks in bikinis on the beach, and it's embarrassing. And she's actually turning the tables. So she goes and plonks herself down next to these guys.
Yeah.
Dude, that is a gold mine.
Yeah, so if you see it on Instagram, you can see the subtitles, what she's asking them.
I think that's funny as hell, dude.
Kind of repeating back to her their answers.
This proves to me one thing.
What's that?
Which is now, it is so true. So
Speak
true.
Russian.
That is, you speak Russian, but it also means one thing.
Tell me, my friend.
Sounded like you
nice guys always come last, and I'm the nice guy. All these irritating guys are getting all the attention here.
I'm a thoughtful guy. I'm definitely going to come last. These women that are doing the show or that are recording this thing, I think I would love to follow them for the simple reason that you turn the tables, but it highlights something it's very simple to fix. It's exposure, it's knowledge. You don't do these kind of things, but it's funny because she's doing it to an Indian in India, in Goa.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
I think this is what needs to happen throughout the country. I think, first of all, women should be empowered more, and and they should we should be able to talk to each other. And be respectful of each other.
Ajoy.
And I think that would change the mentality of a lot of men in India, I think.
Dude, if she came and sat down next to Schubert or Atif or one of these guys that I play poker with, trust me, she'd end up being married in 6 months and be pregnant in 9.
What about Yusuf? What would happen if she sat down next to Yusuf?
She wouldn't understand him and he wouldn't understand her. Yusuf, what would you say to this Russian chick that came and sat down next to you?
I know Russians. Niyat.
Your place or mine?
He said niyat. Niyat means no.
What would you say to her, Yusuf? Listen, you're a local Indian dude. What would you say if she came and said, Yusuf, I think you're very handsome?
Yes,
Okay, now, dude, he's making it up. What did he say?
I don't know.
I said in Russian, I love you.
Shut
Oh, wow,
up.
you're a fast mover.
Shut up. He's making it up. Oh my God. I think it's so funny, dude. I think they turned the table and she'll get a lot of people watching this because I'd watch. I think it's funny as hell. That's a good thing. It's happening. I wonder where this is happening, somewhere local on one of the beaches in Goa.
I think it's in Goa.
Yeah, it is in Goa.
Awesome. What else? Give me something else to lighten the mood. Something fun
the mood.
Yeah, just something different from all the bad stuff that's happening. Take my mind off all the negativity.
Sometimes I think the show is more about Merv's, positive well-being.
What else would it be about, man? It's called the Merv Brito Show. Come on, God, get into it. Give me something else. Talk about these trains in Mumbai.
Well,
Come on, you're like
I didn't think that. I thought this was a bit of a non-starter of a story.
Why?
Well, because it's like automatic closing doors on a train in Mumbai.
But that's what's funny. That's exactly why I want to talk about it. I think it's hilarious. We've had ventilation in our trains because the doors don't work, the windows don't work, and for safety reasons, anywhere around the world that train would be grounded COVID, so to speak.
Yeah.
We got the first batch of automatic closing doors technology in our trains in India. It's going to cause huge problems.
But they're basically saying this is a non-AC carriage. And they're saying to save a bit of money, I believe, it's non-AC. They've got fans in there. However, I've seen reports later on in the week, essentially people saying like it's like an oven inside because it's so hot.
You know, can I tell you this? You can't do this. You can't implement technology halfway. You've got to have ACs in these trains, and these doors are safety measures to protect the people. They close before the train starts to move. But if those doors are going to close, you've got to have proper ventilation. The old school method, the doors wouldn't close and the windows didn't go up. They wouldn't seal, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got the air, the ventilation when the train's moving. Yeah. But if you're going to implement technology, you've got to have ACs because these are metal boxes basically, and they would be like ovens.
Well, yeah, of course. So, you know, that's one of the issues, and that's what a lot of people are saying. You know, a lot of these ministers and, you know, people in authority, they're not having to travel like this, and they wouldn't travel like that because it's like being inside a hot oven. That's
why you'd have the Prime Minister of Nepal would make the authorities and the ministers and the government officials that are implementing these rules travel on the same trains. Yeah. And you'd get a taste of your own medicine. You'd figure out what it's like, and you'd use your brains. Mm-hmm. Ajay, I want to publicize the fact that we want to talk about technology being implemented, but this is a different side of technology where you've implemented technology, but you haven't thought it all the way through. Yeah. So if you've got fans aren't, unless you've got 100 fans and they're really, really strong, you need air-conditioned trains.
Yeah, I mean, their fans are kind of in the ceiling as well, so you can just see it's rotating a little bit. But even with the windows, I'm not sure that you can... With these particular ones, I think you can also open the windows, but you'd need to be in a closed box with nothing that would open in order for the AC to be effective anyway.
Merv, you spent some time in Mumbai.
I grew up in Bombay.
Did you travel by train?
Absolutely, dude. It is a miracle. Forget about a wonder of the world. How those trains continue to be. Listen, this is. I need to salute. I need to thank the men and women that maintain these old antique trains. Joanne, I took you and your mom on a train. Remember?
Absolutely. My mom said first and only time she was ever going to travel first class.
Let me tell you, we've been traveling on these trains, and anybody around the world that's from Mumbai or has been to Mumbai and has traveled on a train. It's a miracle how these trains that are 30, 40, 50 years old, they've been maintained by some of the toughest, some of the smartest, some of the most creative people. They're still plying the railroad, and they've got hundreds of thousands of people. People climb on top when they get too crowded, but they're still plying the same routes, right? These trains made me laugh because there was such a safety hazard.
Yeah.
But you don't have an option. You don't have an alternative, and you make the best of what you have.
But they transport thousands of people
every day.
Daily,
every day. These are newer trains. They look different. They look like new trains, right? Mumbai non-AC EMUs. It's on the screen.
Yeah.
They're newer trains, but why wouldn't you implement air conditioning?
Well, because it's probably going to cost quite a bit of money.
But you know what? I tell you what. I was in Mumbai recently, and I actually got to experience these trains without the automatic closing doors. And one thing I was amazed by was I realized that they are the lifelines of Mumbai.
Yeah.
That is one. And they're so economical. Like for a first class AC from Thane to South Mumbai, it must have cost me to get back to Thane about $200, not more than 200 rupees.
Yeah, that's good.
But
and imagine, you know what, just for that amount, I don't think twice, maybe because I can afford it, right? But for people who cannot afford the first class non-AC, they used to all cram into the second class. And, you know, it is difficult for people. I think the people try, it's such a difficult life in Mumbai. People try to save as much as they can.
Yeah.
So even getting an AC, compartment is a little too much for them.
Ajay, and with the reason we do the show, you've experienced it, you got money, more money than most. The fact of the matter, I'm going to ask you two very important questions.
Yeah.
And the reason we're highlighting the Mumbai trains, I'm going to ask you two very important questions. You know what would happen in Mumbai if the train shut down for a day?
Mumbai was shut down.
Yeah,
there you go. Number one. Yeah. Number two, and they keep them running. So we need to salute. These guys are important people. They're an important part. They work in the shadows, in the backgrounds, and they don't get the credit they deserve. They keep these trains running, number one. Number two, do we not have budgets? Are crores and thousands of crores not collected by taxes or whatever you're charging people to buy new trains, and the trains you do buy with the budgeted money that's collected, if you use that money properly and it didn't go into a lot of people's pockets, you could afford to buy brand new trains with AC.
Yeah,
you don't have to charge the moon to ply the trains and operate the trains, but you could buy proper trains like they do everywhere else in the world.
If there was a place in India that could afford it, it's Mumbai, because they're the richest city in the world.
So why are we buying
And
trains with
Maharashtra.
fans?
Yeah.
Why fans?
That's like I said, without AC, the fans, by the way, they have these really powerful fans. But imagine in the summer now, I don't think it's going to be enough. And especially when it's crowded. I experienced it on an off hour, and it got really crowded, and I was okay, wow, how did I survive this? Imagine when it is peak hour traffic, people getting crammed in there. Oh my God.
Ajoy, you
so
travel first class though, mate.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't get to travel first class, man.
But
If
even
I'm
in
doing
first
that
class, it got crowded at one time.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, in peak hour, the entire train, first class or not, they would be crowded. I'm telling you that.
But Mervyn, they're saying that this initiative is actually is a safety initiative, so that the doors will close and it stops accidents and people falling from overcrowded trains.
that happens a lot.
Absolutely should be the case, but not now. This should have been implemented many years ago. Forget about it. I'm not bagging on them. I'm saying kudos to the people that have continued to make these trains operate even without the doors closing. You've killed loads of people have lost their lives. Great. All I'm saying to you
is don't say it like that.
No. I don't mean that they've lost their lives.
You're talking.
The fact of the matter remains that you're implementing and adding and enhancing. You start phasing out the older trains and getting newer trains. But if you're going to get newer trains, why not get the trains that you need to have? You mean to tell me people are paying on Ajay travel first class and pay 200 rupees? Where in the world would you get to travel on a train and you have the different class systems in India only, right?
Yeah.
In the UK, when you travel the tube, do you have different classes?
Not on the tube, but you do have on the trains, you have first class and also standard class.
Interstate, whatever. The point I'm trying to make is, if these trains are plying and then they're the commuter trains that are transporting people back and forth to work, they've got to be economical, number one, but they should be the latest technology.
Yeah.
And you've got the money, the government's collecting the money to be able to use it, right?
Yeah.
Why is the money not being used for new technology trains with AC? That's my point.
Well, you'd hope so. I mean, the thing is, they've got talk back, so the passengers can actually communicate with the guards and things like that. They're saying that they're implementing more safety features, so if there are emergencies, they can talk to the guards that are on board.
As it should be.
Of course. But also, remember, your grandfather as well, he worked on the railways, didn't he?
Yeah.
So did mine, by the way.
Which, I mean, honestly, India should be very, very proud of its railways, because it was invested in, a lot was invested in it a long time ago. And obviously there's probably parts of it that need to be upgraded and stuff. But somewhere like the States doesn't even have a proper railway structure.
What are you talking about?
No, it hasn't. It's really back. The US is really backward with the railways, because the advancement was in the motorways, and also you've still got the Greyhound coaches. But the train system is really not as advanced
according
as it
to you,
should
Joanne.
be.
You ever heard of Amtrak?
Move.
I've heard
You've ever heard
of it, but it's well known that the States isn't as advanced as it should be as a first world country with their railways.
I'll tell you one thing. I believe Indian railways is so extensive, it actually breaks records here and there. And number two, I think I agree with Joanne, because I remember speaking to an American friend who said that the lobbies have not invested very heavily in mass transport systems.
It's true.
So that they can have monopoly in America. Hey man, don't blame me. This is what I've heard, right?
I'm not saying it's the greatest, but we'll compete with the best in the world. Public transportation in the States it's not cheap. It is second to none bollocks.
Mervyn, it's all about the car. That's the whole point.
Exactly.
Basically, if you haven't got a car, you can't really walk that many places.
Why don't you take the bus?
But apparently,
but have you lived in the States?
You know what it's like in London. They've got a great transport system.
It's a smaller place, Joe.
Mervyn, there's lots of metropolitan cities in the US, and their transport system is not as
I don't care what you say. They've got world-class transportation, public transport, but people choose to be lazy and use their cars and pollute the environment. Okay. It's not about the public transportation system, mate, and it's a lot more spread out. Everything is so much more sparsely populated. To go to work, you can take a train, but it may not be the best in the world, but we've got world-class public transportation, and that's it. Okay, I'm not talking more about it.
That, but everyone else knows that it's not as good as it should be because it's not set up for public transportation per se.
Okay, move along, dude. I don't want to talk about it. Get on with it. Next. What else you want to talk about?
So yeah, we would originally, it's been a very, very long week. This seems like it's old news now that apparently one of India's LPG tankers, one of the first to transit out of the Strait of Hormuz, happened on the 14th of April this week. So that was on Tuesday. So, they essentially got out of the Straits of Hormuz with about 24 seamen also on board. And there was 20,400 metric tons of LPG liquefied petroleum on board. So there are more ships that are ready to exit the straits, but there's been a lot of toing and froing between Iran and the US.
It got shut down.
Back down again. So it's really hard to kind of know exactly what's going on.
Guys, I'm just going to tell you, it's a day-to-day thing, and it's scary, it's sad, it's disappointing, because DJT keeps. I don't know, like he changes his underwear, dude. He changes his mind and he makes these statements. Today the war's done. Tomorrow we won the war. That we've destroyed the country. Blah 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 blah. It's an absolute travesty. It's a crime because the stuff he says, the kind of stuff he says, the way he says it, that's not diplomatic. That's not, you need to be working. And I love the fact that he's the ballsy guy that first time he's gone out and he's wanted to make these changes that should have been made many, many, many years ago, right? It's the way he's doing it that really annoys me and aggravates me because it costs and it has effects across the globe. You're talking about the first Indian flagged LPG tanker transit through the Straits of Hormuz. Of course, you've got to rein Iran in, yeah? They don't control public waters. The Straits of Hormuz into the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea on the other side, and all these are international waterways. But you can't have any country, forget about Iran or the U.S., control these waterways. Trade around the world depends on the transport through the oceans of the world that are world owned by the world, right? No one country can. Next, you're going to have the Straits of Malacca. You're going to have the what is that? The channel, the Panama Canal, all these places. You know what would happen? What will happen when you start having countries and just tit for tat? He's jumped in there because Iran's controlling the straits. You know what? You're going to do this thing. I'm going to do it. That's not a grown-up way and a solution to fix the problem, man.
If this world was controlled by grown-ups who had some oxygen in their brains, by the way, then we would not be here. I think these guys just need to sit down, all of them. And come to an amicable solution, if we can even use the word amicable, but at least an adult solution where, they're not trying to outdo each other. Here is just an ego battle, right?
Ajoy, sorry, I agree with you. I'm on the same page. All I'm saying to you is, you know what a scary situation we're currently in? This is a global, in 3 days, Wednesday, the ceasefire expires, right?
Yes, correct.
Can I tell you, here in India, everybody's suffering like crazy. And I'm not trying to stir it up. I'm not trying to create. We've been lucky. But you remember a couple of weeks ago when everybody claimed we were going to run out of petrol?
Yep.
And you've got commercial establishments that are struggling right now because there's no commercial LPG gas. Right? So if you're going to shut down the Straits of Hormuz and Southeast Asia doesn't get LPG gas, liquefied natural gas, LNG, petroleum products, blah, 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 because of this stupid tit for tat between Iran and the US, it's affecting the globe, right? And here again, we're in the internet business. We provide internet connectivity to customers here in Goa, right? Everything that we try to purchase has gone up in price. They use the same excuse. Semiconductors has gone up in price. We don't have gas, and this is more expensive, and that is more expensive. And I can't, as a business owner, us as business owners, we can't raise the rates.
No.
We haven't raised the rates for internet.
No.
But the poor hotel industry, the restaurant industry that caters to the tourism industry here in Goa is getting affected because you don't have products that depend on the flow of international trade.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the thing is, for someone like Donald Trump, I know he claims to be doing it for the right reasons. However, he hasn't really understood how this impacts the rest of the globe, the rest of trade, the rest of economy, the economies across the world. You know, the fact is that some restaurants have had to close down or been on a bit of a go slow, changed menus, maybe close for a week or so before opening again once they've got gas again. You know, there's all of these things where even the price of induction hobs and all.
It's tripled, Joanne.
That's gone through the roof. And, you know, the overall impacts on people on their day-to-day lives is absolutely massive. And I agree, of course, Iran needed to be tempered and, you know, you don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. But
Not the way he's doing it.
Equally, you don't want this chaos like this.
I don't think anybody needs to have a nuclear weapon.
No.
And least of all, United States. They've used it first, and they're the only country that's ever used it. Think about it.
We've had this argument. We've had this discussion before. Listen, I'm all for. Can I just tell you what Pope Leo has said that I agree with most? And I'm not trying to become political. I'm not trying to religious. We're not trying to store. All I'm saying to you, you know the amount of money that's being spent on fights, on wars. If you spent that money, nobody needs a nuclear weapon. I agree with you. But you can't be an extremist country, leave alone like in Iran or any of these guys, and all of they've been killing people for a long time. They're in their proxies, right?
So has the US more.
I understand. Joy, the point I'm trying to make is use that money or use the money you're spending on uranium enrichment for these weapons and all the expenses. You're spending couple of billion dollars a day.
Yep.
What could you do with that money around the world? Forget about around the world. In the States, you could take care of your homeless.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So the point I'm trying to make is you need somebody, a leader, somebody who is a trendsetter, somebody with creative thinking. Yes, diplomacy is the most important to fix a problem, but it bothers me because one man's unilateral decision, thinking, choices affects the globe.
Yes.
And here in Goa and India, everything's gone up in price. Now induction is triple the cost of any equipment. Induction equipment is triple the cost. Everybody wants to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
We don't have gas. Let's go to induction. You know what? The good thing is maybe we will dial back and start going back to the old way that we survived with chulas and stuff. You can't. I'm being.
No, it'll end up going there. It'll end up going
because a lot of people are going to go out of business. It's going to create a global depression, Ajoy.
It will. It will.
And yeah, go on.
You know, I tell you about diplomacy. It only works if it's fair for all parties.
I'm not saying the U.S. is any saint.
Yeah.
But like Pope Leo said, it's not about who's got the biggest. You know what? In the room.
Yes.
Use that money wisely. Use your power. Wield your power wisely. Take care of the people that are in your own country.
But that's it. Many people around the world are questioning why their governments always have so much more money for defense. They have it when it comes to fighting wars. But why are they never using this money comprehensively to fix issues domestically at home, such as homelessness or, you know, people having lack of health care and all of those kinds of things? There's always more money is always found for budgets for defense.
No. That's what you have deficits for. You know what the state in the States, in the U.S., you know what the deficit is? They spend over $1 trillion on the defense budget. And I'm not, listen, mate, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and I'm not painting everybody and all politicians with the same damn paint. The point I'm trying to make is if over time you could use that money for good. Ajoy, I know the States has been involved, the U.S. has been involved all over the world, and they're not saints. That's not the point I'm trying to make. Like many people would say, yes, you want to have peace, but there's a cost to that. But the money you're spending to tit for tat, the Straits of Hormuz right now, you're affecting the world.
Yeah.
You're affecting the global economy. You know how long it's going to take to fix all the destruction that's happened in seconds and minutes and hours and days.
Yeah.
Stuff, the infrastructure you've built over years and decades and crores and thousands and billions and trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know how much money you're going to have to spend again to rebuild?
Absolutely, of course.
So that's a sad thing about it.
But then it's the impact on people's lives. So, you know, we were talking about one tanker coming through, one Indian tanker coming through. There's 15 more Indian tankers waiting. They've repatriated, since the war, they've repatriated nearly 2,200 Indian seafarers. So there's like individual lives, individual families livelihoods are being affected. That's just a drop in the ocean, so to speak. But, everybody lives their own life domestically, and you've got to be able to make ends meet and get by. And then you've got to rebuild. You've got to rebuild these countries, and all of this additional money that's going to have to be spent in order to get back to where you started.
It's a scary thought because like I mentioned the poor business people here in Goa. You've got a tourist industry that caters to your lifeline. Your goose that laid the golden egg is the tourist industry, right? So people are supposed to come here and spend money. And how can you come to a place where you don't have commercial gas to be able to cook a meal, to provide one of the most amazing meals experiences you've ever had here in Goa, right? You can't. So these guys are struggling. They're suffering. That is only one. The hotel industry, the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, taxis, all of this kind of stuff, it affects everybody because of one man's decision. And that's the sad part. It's scary, dude. It's sad because it's going to take a very long time and a huge heap of money that you're going to have to spend to get back to where we were 5, 10, 20 years ago. And that money could have been so much better spent.
Yeah.
What do I know? I'm just a pretty face. I want more young people. I want more young politicians. This guy, Raghav Chadha. From AAP, from the Aam Aadmi Party. What happened to him, dude? Y'all mentioned about some Z security. What's that mean now, Joy?
They're withdrawing his security cover, supposedly. So there's claims that he's fallen out with the leadership of the party, and his security clearance and his security coverage has been withdrawn. So I think there's been conflicting reports around this. However, he says more or less he'll just continue fighting for his local constituents, but there seems to be quite a row around him, and
it's a game.
Good works.
Is it a game?
Real shame.
Is it a game? Is it a political? Listen,
there's a lot of what can I say? There are a lot of things happening over there.
Bullshit.
I don't know what's going to happen. With politics, you just don't know what's going to happen. Who's going to switch sides? Who's not going to switch sides? Who's bullshitting? Who's not bullshitting? You don't know, because his security was withdrawn by the state from which he was elected. Because apparently he was not not speaking on their behalf. That was one. But then once the security was withdrawn, the opposition party, which is in this case, the government of India, gives him security. So who's he friends with, really? God only knows. We'll get to see. We'll get to see in time.
but that's a sad and a scary thing, because it's here again. This is a game. Politics is almost a game that people play. You see it happen all the time here in Goa. You've heard about it. You've seen it during now you're going to have some elections coming up, right?
Yep.
And these guys play the game like they're professional gamers and get into politics to figure out how to work the system. They're so smart, and a little bit of money can generate you a lot of money in revenue. But it's a sad state of affairs that we don't have more transparency and enforcement and publicizing. You talk about these good and bad things that are happening, right? That's why we do the show. But a game like politics, just like war is a horrible thing because you waste so much money fighting each other, right?
Yeah.
If you could use good politicians, and I always keep going back to young politicians to get rid of these fuddy-duddy, these old archaic systems and the people that have been controlling this place for so long. A guy like Raghav Chadha must have pissed people off, and they're trying to get him out of the way, kind of thing, and he's out of favor with somebody, and blah blah. They pulled his security and all that kind of stuff. I don't know him. I'm a fan of his because he did a couple of really great things with technology, like the Prime Minister of Nepal. But you don't know where to start. You know what's right, what's wrong, who's right, who's wrong, and it's like you got to work the system to succeed.
I think you could be balanced. Right? Of course, take up these issues. Some of these issues he's brought up are relevant, definitely. But are they the most pressing issues?
Yeah.
That is a question that needs to be asked as well.
Yeah.
And I think he could have done both. Right? He could have done both.
So, because they're accusing him of engaging in soft PR on some of the topics and maybe not kind of fighting more vociferously for his local constituents and against, the people in power at this moment in time.
You know, it's sad because I don't want to talk much more about this because I don't know the facts. I don't know. You know what? There's always three sides to every story.
Yeah.
Your side, my side, and the truth. So until we can dig deep and figure out exactly what Raghav Chadha has done, or who he's pissed off, or what the actual what the actual truth, the actual facts of the matter, we have no idea. But it's sad because he's a young guy and he's ruffled feathers and let him come and work with Justice Rebello. Raghav, here's an idea for you, mate.
Mo.
Yeah, Baba.
Sorry, am I interrupting?
Yeah, I was going to say, like Joanne mentioned, you mentioned earlier, why not have a small system to be a beacon, to be an example, to be something that you work perfectly, that is an example that you can implement in other states and other countries and other, you know what, let a local village panchayat, and that's what Daniel is trying to do here in Go. They're trying to make different rules and regulations that can be beacons in leadership positions, like locally here, and do it and implement it and make it successful, and then implement it on a larger scale. In a local panchayat, in a village, in the state, blah, blah, blah. Yes, Ajoy.
Yes, I was going to say, you know what, the moment, a couple of things. Two, one, the moment this Raghav Chadha was removed from his post and he was being replaced by the next ARP leader, this ARP leader was investigated by the ED.
Saw that last week.
Which is quite, I don't know what to say. It sounds very circumspect. I don't know what the hell is happening. It's like a big saga there. All right, that's one. Number two, I believe that, you know, going by how even the most people with the most integrity join politics, it changes them. You know, they tend to be corrupted, and I feel that they are forced to you know, basically take away from themselves so as to meet society's demands. So I believe society itself is asking their politicians to lie, to say one thing one day and then change their mind the other day. There's no accountability there because society doesn't expect that of their politicians. They expect the politicians to do these things. It's just sad, you know, because you know, we lose a lot of good leaders that way, I feel.
I think in order to remain in power, sometimes, you know, you have to bob and weave a little bit. And I think that
you got to play the game.
I think along the way, some of their good intentions can get a little bit lost.
You've got to play the game, guys. Ajay, what you're saying is so true. But can I say something that's really disheartening, disappointing, really depressing, is the fact that this has been happening. This is not the first Raghav Chadha. Now, when you have the ED investigating his replacement, let me tell you, the public's not stupid. People aren't dumb. No. We all know that there are travesties. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of bad things happening. It is more of a hopeless state of mind that people are in, and when they turn around and say, well, how do we fix it? What do we do? How can we fix it? It's just one person or just 10 of us, and we thinking this way and blah, blah, blah. The only beacon of light, the hope, the ray of hope, is to have technology, enforcement, transparency. There's so many different ways to fix the system, but you got to start somewhere. Yeah. And that's why I keep saying you need young people to implement technology to be able to change this bullshit, this BS, this crap, this horrible thing, this cancerous situation to fix it for the better.
I think you're meaning like the checks and balances and this kind of blockchain where there's like a sequence of events and you can check in at any time and you can see
transparency,
what happened, when it happened, why did it happen, and you know, so that you can see it all, tracking all the way back.
Joanne, I'm using the same words.
Somewhere.
Transparency, reporting, documenting. You have to have people report their finances. You've got to have. There's so many simple, straight, and it sounds easier than it is. I'm not making it. What I'm saying to you is this has been happening for a very long time, and people know it's happening. Yeah. And Ajay keeps mentioning the public. The public are frustrated and fed up. But how, where, when, why do we fix this problem?
I think as an Indian, I have every right to say that judging from what I see around me, I think society has become so corrupt that we are coming up, the politicians will become corrupt. They are the face of society because we elect those kind of people.
Like mirrors, you're saying they're the mirror of society.
If society was fair, if society respected politicians that were honest, we would have been electing those kind of people, and those people will want to be honest, continue to be honest, continue to speak freely, speak for what is right, and call out what is wrong. They would do that. But they know that by doing that, they will not last in politics for too long, sadly.
Politics is a game. Politics is a science. I can't remember the name, and I'd love somebody out there. If you're listening and you know what I'm talking about, there was a movie, and it was very old. It's probably 15, 20 years old, where to elect a U.S. president or somebody to get into political power, it was like a science, and they polished this person, and the information about the person that went out, and his look, his image, his background, his colleagues, and all this kind of stuff. It was like a polished, a whole, what is it called, like an opera to get this person elected. It was a great movie, and I can't remember. I remember Robert Redford was in the movie, but
really?
What you're
the President's Men or something?
I don't know, but how to get somebody elected. You see it happening here all the time, and I see it in Goa happen all the time, where people, they've got it down to a T. You pay the right people, you play the right game, you say the right things, you promise the right promises, get elected, make a bunch, repeat, replicate, and do it over again and again and again. And it's sad, and we do the show and we talk about these things because they keep happening, and it's a frustrating, hopeless feeling because there don't seem to be any ways to change it. And that's why we keep propagating these young people and technology, implement these technologies to fix the problem.
Okay, you're saying young people, but there's also reverting back to Justice Rebello as well. So people who care enough to stand up for what is right and also advocate for that as well. So it's not all in the youth, but it's also people standing up for
reputable people.
Right. Yeah, standing up for what is right.
Can I ask you a question? Why is Air India out of money or showing that they had a $2.4 billion loss? Now, Air India is not something, an airline or a corporation or company that started last week or last year, right?
Yeah.
Tata Singapore has taken over, right? And they're an established, or they've been running this into the ground for many, many years, right? It's sad because it is our national carrier. You want to be proud of and promote your national carrier. We talked about the embarrassing things that have happened on an aircraft that embarrasses you to be Indian. But why? How can you have a company losing that much money?
So Air India is asking Singapore Airlines for a bit of a bailout or a cash injection because their losses were so much greater than were expected. So there's obviously been, it has been a really horrendous year for Air India because you had that disaster with the plane crash. You've obviously had Pakistani airspace was closed down. So as well as the Pakistani airspace being closed down, you've actually got the Middle East conflict, and you've also had fuel prices going up. So obviously that's also affected air travel as well. So it has been a real perfect storm of terrible events that's contributed to such huge losses.
I feel bad for Air India because like I'm saying, you want to promote your national carrier, right? And they've been through a lot. They've had a lot. But I'm just saying to you, these are problems that, just like in politics that we're speaking about, that they're not properly managed. Sending the wrong planes to the wrong place, to the wrong countries, the wrong whatever. You know what? You need to see these things the way they are, and I'm not making it out to be easy fixes, but you've got to make the changes to fix them in the long run. Like the politics we're talking about politicians in politics. Air India needs to get its shit together, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they thought that the losses were going to be 1.6 billion. So in January, they were reporting that they expected to be 1.6 billion, but obviously it's come in a lot more than that. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed. And I don't think that it's only Air India that's probably facing up to such terrible financial returns this year also.
Isn't Tata running Air India? Haven't they now taken over, right? So why Singapore Airlines? Is it Tata Singapore?
I think, they get funding. It's not going to be just Tata's that has infused funding into the buying of Air India. I think they've got a conglomerate of other companies to buy, because it was a very, very debt-ridden airline.
Yes, it was,
because it was bled by the powers that be through corrupt practices, and it led to huge losses. I think into the tens of thousands of crores, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So you know what? They're not going to be turning this around anytime soon. They have. It's a long game, but unfortunately, right, like Joanne just said, it's a confluence of many issues. The crash, now the wars. People are not going to be spending on flights if the flight tickets are up because of what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz, right?
Yeah.
So it's a confluence of many issues that is hurting Air India.
Yeah.
I want to see them succeed. I'd love to see Air India succeed. I want to be proud of them. But $2.4 billion with a B, dude, that's not a small amount. And if you had the right people running this country, you know what? It's sad because there are very, very good people involved also. And I'm not saying it's all bad. The fact is that you need, just like any corporation around the world, you couldn't have anybody better than Singapore Airlines.
Well, yeah, they're shareholders, as is Tata. They're all shareholders in Air India itself. And so they're looking for a bit of a bailout in order to be able to turn things around. So
it's not, we're not bad-mouthing them. We're just saying we wish them all the best, and it's sad to see.
Be resolved, of course.
And I think the Indian government
get the Indian government out of them. You don't want the Indian government to do
but
anything.
I think they should make it easier because this is our national carrier, right?
Of course, there should be subsidies.
And we should make every effort to help them succeed.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot just expect them to provide you funding and provide you money from the profits, etc. Make every effort to help them succeed because the iconic Air India should always
continue to fly.
Yes.
Ajay, be careful what you wish for. You want the government to step in and bail them out. I'm just saying to you, just fix the people that are managing this company. Get people in that. Listen, you've got so much nepotism and grandfather clauses in Air India. I remember Air India pilots would have lifetime for their families. All this BS. You can't survive. You can't succeed with all these archaic rules and laws. You got to cut the fat, trim it down, get a proper Singapore Airlines. You can't go wrong, dude. That's an airline's always top 5, top 10 in the world, and you couldn't get better help. Let's talk about 3 really fun things in quick succession. Yes? These are things that make you proud. The squadron leader, Manisha Padhi.
Okay.
India inaugurating its first red road to save wildlife.
Yeah.
And Samrat Chowdhury orders zero tolerance against corruption in first meeting as Bihar CM.
So
where do you want to start?
Talk about the red road, actually. In fact.
I love this story. Talk about it.
So basically, the red road is actually to save wildlife. So essentially, it's quite similar to some initiatives that have been undertaken in Chile also, which is a country you're very familiar with. But National Highway 45, there's only a very short stretch at the moment whereby they've actually introduced this red road system.
What does it mean? What does red road mean?
This is basically been painted red, so the surface of the road is also slightly different. So as opposed to just having to slam on your brakes, you're on a road surface that is slightly different, and so therefore you're automatically slowing down. So over and above that, they've also got underpasses for the wildlife to cross. So as opposed to going across the road, they're going under the road. And then they've also got these fences so that they're going to be able to stop the animals getting actually on the roads themselves.
Wonderful. I think it's brilliant. Great idea. Love to see it right here in our own backyard. This is an initiative that's worked around the world that they're implementing. Kudos to you. Next.
It's less than 12 kilometers, but of course they're just piloting it and testing it out. So
but Joanne, that's how you want to do it, right? You want to prove it works. It's being done around the world. Don't reinvent the wheel. Kudos to you guys. Where is this, by the way? Which state? It's India's
in Madhya Pradesh, I believe.
Madhya Pradesh?
I believe.
Brilliant. Underpasses for the animals. You're not going to kill wildlife and all. I think it's great technology. What else? Next.
Yeah. Okay. So this was just a story that caught my eye, and so this lady, she's become. It's not only just happened, but she's the first female aide de camp, which is basically, it's like a personal assistant. So she's come from the military, and so essentially the aide de camp to the governor, to a governor, which is, I hate to say it, but I can't pronounce. Dr. Hari Babu Kambu Kamte.
Okay, whatever. But her name is more important, right? She's Manisha Padhi, right?
Manisha Padhi, yeah. So she's a squadron leader from the Air Force.
Perfect. It's impressive because she's the first woman officer to become an ADC to a governor in India.
Yeah.
So these are leaps and bounds. This is stuff to be proud of. Well done, Manisha Padhi. Next. We wanted to talk about this, and I don't know if this is right or wrong or true or false. Samrat Chowdhury orders zero tolerance against corruption, first meeting as Bihar chief minister.
Yeah.
Talk about this,
So
dude.
this is something that also we thought was quite interesting, because they're essentially saying there's going to be zero tolerance against corruption. So in his first meeting, this last 1 week, essentially he's saying there's going to be zero tolerance going forward. So that obviously is a great message, because this also rolled into what we were seeing in Nepal. Whereas Nepal, we were talking about the Nepalese government in the first 100 days, they wanted to be able to report their progress. So the number of initiatives that they've undertaken and what the success is to date. I think you've...
I love that. By the way, these are two different topics, yeah?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They kind of are interlinked because of the fact that this is a new chief minister in Bihar.
Joe, I'm just saying to you, I think that's amazing. But this is not the first time we've talked about zero tolerance, right?
Exactly.
This is not the first time.
They all
Here
say
in
zero
Goa, we do that.
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
But it's going to be enforced.
In our municipal buildings, they have big signs that say zero tolerance.
Yeah.
In a lot of them, in MAPSA, I've seen that, right? They've tried and tried and tried. It doesn't always work, but I love the fact, and that's why it caught my eye.
Yeah.
In a place like Bihar, my God. But you know what? We've talked about this so many times. It is the monitoring, but it's also the actual knowledge, the transparency. Now you mentioned the Nepal parliament.
Yeah.
Talk about this. Is quickly. Just talk about this. Is so cool,
So
man.
essentially, there's a digital monitor. So they've got 78 days left of their first 100 days, and it's actually got like a progress chart.
I think that's so great,
you've
dude.
got 5. They've completed 5 of their initiatives.
It's on the screen. Check that out, right?
Yeah.
The government monitoring system.
Yeah, so there's apparently 90 of their initiatives not yet done, but there's 5 in progress. So 5 completed, 5 in progress, and 90.
Dude, can they hear applause? Can they hear my applause in Nepal? Yusuf? If you fart in a forest and nobody's around, would you hear that? Do you hear it again? The point I think this is so brilliant. You know what? Who's the lady we spoke to about it? Go Green. The Green. Joanna Perez.
Yeah.
Now, this is exactly the kind of tech that we need. And we've got this. Dr. Pramod Sawant, who's our current CM.
Yeah.
He's implementing, and he's got all these websites. Joanna Perez came and talked about these things, right? This is the transparency. This is the display of what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
Not just talking about it, what's actually being done, right?
And
Exactly.
It's a countdown monitor also in real time.
Quite you can go to this website, right?
That's the difference between saying zero tolerance till the cows come home and actually doing something about
But
it.
showing, Ajoy, they're actually demonstrating. You can log into the website, right? This is in Nepal, right?
Yes.
That's right.
I love this, dude. Kudos to them.
Yeah, so obviously you'd hope on top of the zero tolerance that people are talking about, that you'd actually also hope to see that people are completing the initiatives that they say they want to implement for the public.
That's something that really depresses me, really bothers me when people make promises pre-election about we'll do this and we'll do this, vote for me, fix the roads and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then nothing gets done. And people like donkeys vote for them again and again and again. It's not only here in Goa, not only here in India, it's around the world. People make false promises. And I love the fact, Shashank talked about this.
Yeah.
He's under budgeted because everything he's done is on a pamphlet, front and back. But in Nepal, they're doing this. And I wish more people would demand this from your local politicians. Everybody has access to the internet. You should have websites denoting, demonstrating, showing, displaying what you've done, what you've actually done based upon your campaign promises. Ajoy.
Exactly.
Vote for me, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but it can be done. It's that simple, right? If you want to stand for election and actually have the right intention, publicize it.
Of course.
These are my accomplishments. This is what I promised. This is what I could do. This is what I was not able to do. But I'm willing to be transparent and prove that I'm not just a man lip service. I'm actually going to do, and I will show you what I'm talking about. Right?
Yeah.
This is my accomplishments and my progress so far.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome, dude. Everybody, we should demand that. We should demand that. Let me ask you this question, Joanne. I was pissed off. We talked about the war, and Trump had a depiction of him as Jesus, and he claimed it was me being a doctor.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think it's a whole load of rubbish, I have to say. At the end of the day, for somebody that sells Bibles in his name, who thinks that the image of him sort of anointing somebody is supposed to be a doctor, You can see the iconography of religion all over it. And
Oh my
you can see
God,
it's
look
a
at this picture,
Jesus-like
dude.
figure. Is this one that Yusuf generated?
No. This is the one, the real one that he shared.
Can you believe? I'm not as a Catholic, dude. It doesn't bother me as a Catholic. I think it's a joke because I know Donald Trump is sometimes is silly, goes out on a limb, does silly things. It doesn't bother me. But there were a lot of religious leaders and religious people that were up in arms because I've seen the pictures of this picture with Jesus's face. Right? He's superimposed his face. But look at the background images. He's incorporating war into this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's just ridiculous, the whole thing. I mean, it's just infuriating. And the fact that everybody's been so publicly gaslighted to say, oh no, I thought it was a doctor.
He's full of shit. He came out and said he's being a doctor and healing people. Can I ask you one question, Ajoy?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see not one, and I'm not trying to stir it up, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you see one non-white person in this picture?
Not at all.
In India, we're brown.
But
You've got African Americans, you've got people from all over the world.
You've got aliens at the top there. You've got
Yeah, but that's aliens and white people. What about the rest of us being representative?
Merv, I'll tell you what, the Iranians have taken this and run with it. They've come up with some hilarious
really?
twists on these things. One is which I've not actually put, but they've shown what do you call? They've animated the same picture with Jesus coming and getting violent with Donald Trump.
Oh my.
In a video, it is hilarious. And there's another one where he's actually, instead of this old guy on the bed here, there's Epstein there.
Oh, I know, I've seen that. We
talked
talked
about
that. Yeah, on one of the websites showed it.
Being Jeffrey, it very similarly looks like Jeffrey Epstein.
And check this out. Check this out. The next one, Mo. Just check this out. Have you seen this one? Unfortunately,
But this doesn't hurt anybody, right? This is looking like an idiot.
This is hilarious, and I love this. If only war would be about coming up with these kind of videos to take a dig at somebody sarcastically.
Having a laugh doesn't cost you money.
Yeah, true.
A war in Iran, the Straits of Hormuz, is costing you trillions, mate.
Yeah.
And it's the saddest part about the whole thing, and I've said this, it's not about the money can be better spent, but you know how long it's going to fix this and get things back to normal after just a couple of decisions by one person.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part. You can laugh about these things, and I don't. Listen, I'm a Catholic. I'm a very, I have a lot of faith. I've got faith from my mother, but this is the scary part about it is you have people that can make decisions that affect the rest of the world. There's a lot more. Oh my God!
I would be sweating bullets knowing that fact. Right.
Ajoy, let's talk more about these silly and this is what we want to end the show, and I want to end the show on some of these lighthearted incidents. So you've got this picture of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You've got viral videos.
Yeah. Because
talk about those, Joe. And I want to end on a good note.
Yeah. So apparently in Warsaw, in Poland, you've actually got this humanoid robot running around chasing wild boars, essentially through the streets. So obviously, if this is true, I mean, it's a Associated Press video, so it's chasing these wild boars around. So it actually keeps people safe. It keeps individuals safe from around.
But that's technology for good.
Yeah.
We need one of those in Goa, man, for the Dukors.
That's such a great idea, right? Why would you want to chase something Dukur?
अरे बाबा पहिले आमचे पोरवीन दुकोर मिळवलं रे.
I've been looking for that poverty pig and it's disappeared. And there's another $1 million question. We'll hit on that another time. But this is something that's lighthearted, but this is using technology for good. What about these cops in Rajasthan?
We were going to talk about some epic fails. So we've got a few things lined up. So one of, you'll obviously see a little bit about this, but I think an epic fail is actually touching on the fact that Prime Minister Modi actually had to address the nation last night because one of their bills failed to pass. So I think it was the Constitution Amendment, 131st Amendment Act, and the Delimitation Bill also failed to pass. Do you want to jump in, Ajoy?
Basically, the short of it is the women lost out. Right?
Yeah.
So, but explain why that is.
I'll tell you why. Because the government tried to they say that it was a constitution amendment to do something called delimitation. Delimitation is, say, Goa has 40 seats, right?
Yeah.
40 MLAs means 40 seats. So they were going to say, okay, Goa now needs 60 MLAs or 80 MLAs.
Yeah.
Whereas in other states, they would say that, say, Tamil Nadu, 40 MLAs, I think it's got a lot more than 40 MLAs, but I'm just giving you an example. They reduced the number of MLAs, and those guys didn't like it, right? Obviously, why would they like if you're reducing the number of representations for your state?
Yeah.
But they were saying that was required to create more seats for women, which I don't believe so. And the opposition party, that is the Congress and everybody else, was saying that, hey, we already have a women's bill. Pass that bill, which grants reservation for women.
Yeah. So it's not like positive discrimination. It's not like that. It's essentially saying create more seats, not just assign the seats we've got and then have a certain quota for women.
The opposition is just basically saying, you already have a bill.
Yeah.
Just pass that bill, grant the reservation that is already there. Why do you need to have a delimitation?
Yeah.
That's what the opposition is saying. And I think they could have met somewhere in the middle and, give women their due, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. End of the day, through all of these political battles, the women have lost, unfortunately, yet again.
There you go.
Go on. What about the rest of these epic fails? There's a
Yeah, so we had some, a little bit more lighthearted, because obviously you couldn't have the Prime Minister addressing the nation and then not mentioning it. But then we've actually had some Rajasthani cop. The epic fail was essentially an EV car owner was actually fined for not having a pollution certificate.
obviously a mistake, but how stupid are you, mate?
Yeah.
It is sad, it is scary that these people in power, if this is an electric vehicle, it doesn't emit, there's no emissions, zero emissions, and he got a fine.
Yeah.
He confronts the cop who charged a pollution fine for an EV car, right?
Yeah.
$10,000 rupee pollution fine.
Yeah.
Dude.
So, I think there's quite a few videos, because you've also got the guys confronting him as well. So, it's the nonsense of the fact that, they got a fine in the first place. Then he's also confronting the cop. So the
Check
cop.
the dude out. He's just chilling on his phone, man.
He's not that bothered, really.
He's sitting on his phone. He's chilling on his phone. He doesn't care.
Seems like he's maybe been very badly briefed in terms of knowing what the laws are.
See, you got to understand, a lot of these people are uneducated and have been given a government job, which is in this case the police.
Why is that the case?
He would have been instructed to check for a pollution certificate, right? Now he doesn't know that this is an electric car and you don't need a pollution certificate, but he's following his training, and probably somebody's not debriefed him or briefed him about what you have to do when you come across an electric car.
Ajoy, he's in charge of people's lives, dude. And if you're uneducated and you haven't met certain standards, you should not be in that position. So being ignorant or not properly trained is a bigger problem. But the fact of the matter, common sense would tell you it's an electric vehicle. And if he doesn't have common sense, he should be in that position. Look at them on their phones chilling. They're not bothered. They're not bothered. And funnily enough, a traffic police bike.
Yeah, so there was
about it.
Yeah, so there was one guy. He was pulled over for a violation, but the guy who was being pulled over for the violation actually had spotted that the police bike had actually the pollution certificate had expired. So he was only very politely pointing out that he's been pulled over for one thing, but the cop's bike actually didn't.
That's funny.
His certificate had actually expired. So there's the irony there. But again, it kind of feeds into the fact that sometimes the police don't always know their own rules and regulations in order to follow them as closely as they should be.
This reminds me of a very funny incident. We'll pull up the videos maybe sometime later. But this guy, in one of his certificates, was called something a kutta. Okay, something Kutta. They got his name wrong. They say Arjun Kutta. So this guy went to the police, the authority, and started barking in front of him.
Oh dear!
And showed him his ID.
Yeah, and showed him his ID. And he just was showing him this ID, and he's barking at the official until the official got it. Okay, he's got his name wrong as Kutta.
Oh my God! These things happen, and they make us laugh, and they're not laughing matter sometimes. This is not costing anybody your life. But the fact of the matter, these need to be highlighted. This is not happening here in Goa, but we have a lot of situations that do happen here in our own backyard that may be life or death. And we need to learn from these examples of other people making mistakes. I love the good things that are happening that are being implemented, but it's scary. It may be funny. It's only funny when it's not going to cost anybody a life.
No.
So if you have these silly people doing these silly things, we need to talk about them.
Baba. We got a comment just now from Mr. Sujit.
Hey, hold on. We'll talk about. We'll read the comment. I had a guy that badmouthed him, called me bald witch and all.
This is with regards to our current topic. So Mr. Sujit03 says, in the para traffic police taking legal money from tourists and telling them to give the cash, no GPay.
So that's not the first time. GPay money doesn't go into their pockets. They've got to collect a certain amount of money, but it has to trickle upward.
You know what he's saying? He's saying he may be in the para traffic police right now, and he's been asked to give cash, and he can't use GPay. Maybe he's telling that. Is that right, Mr. Sujit?
Okay. It happened. These kind of things happen, and we laugh about them in here and go, and it's sad. It's scary because these are not the kind of things we want to promote. But you've got to talk about them because they're so outrageous.
Only in India.
Only in India. Only in our beautiful backyard. You spoke about a comment. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to say, are you carrying on with these comments?
No, I want to talk. There was a guy that made a comment and took a shot at me for nothing. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, this was basically talking about the casinos. So
put it up. Bring it up.
Talking about the casinos
this dude, man?
On the river and the pollution. So someone called you a bald witch.
A bald witch, like a sandwich.
So you are bald. You'll accept that. A witch maybe has some superhero kind of powers. Yeah.
Pull up. I want to see this comment. I want to know what this is all about because I have no clue, mate. There's nothing I can do about being bald. Who's the dude and what? So this was about the casinos.
This was
about the pollution coming from the casinos.
Hang on. Shri Medias Sridhar Gurunath Chalawadi.
What?
He says yes. He says to you, then stop being greedy. Kick out the mafia and the greediness. Then talk big words, you bald witch.
I hope he meant to say bald bitch and not witch, dude. I'm a dude. I ain't a witch. Witches are normally known to be female. Shri, whatever the hell your name is, Jack. I'm just speaking my mind. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to gain. At the end of the day, I love this place, and you don't need that many casinos. You're entitled to your opinion. I love the fact that people are commenting. Let's agree to disagree. My name ain't Donald Trump, and I'm happy for you to speak your mind. I'm not angry. I ain't mad at you, mate. Don't worry about it. Thank you for the comment. It's just things that we talk about. You're not going to make everybody happy, and no, not everybody's going to agree with you.
That's it, Mom. In the next Harry Potter, we're going to have bald witches.
Bald bitches, bald witches. There you go. Look at the Goa police. How did that come up? How did that come up? Dude?
That was our casino. The new casino story that we are talking about, right?
Keep the comments coming in. And on that note.
No, I was just going to say that last week, as we were coming off air, we found out that Asha Bhosle had died.
Oh, yeah, talk about that.
So we actually put out a tribute to her.
You know what's really cool, Joanne? Can I say somebody like The Rock? Who was it? It was a world famous wrestler. John Cena.
Yeah.
Commented. How cool is that?
Yeah, that was really nice that he paid respect to her, and I think because of the fact that he hasn't necessarily got overt links with India, but he'd actually paid homage to her and obviously paid his respects to her. And I think a lot of people like Priyanka Chopra and lots of people were actually very, very touched by the fact that he'd actually acknowledged her and her huge influence on Indian society, and as a gorgeous singer and an Indian icon.
Asha Bhosle is an icon here in India. She is somebody that is with her voice, her singing, her music, her talent was world famous. But you would never expect a dude like John Cena, who's this larger than life character, an ex-wrestler or wrestler.
Yeah.
And that was cool that he did mention it. By the way,
makes us proud.
It does make you proud, right? Let an Asha Bhosle, little old Asha, and then she's not little old, but I'm just saying to you, a big name in a place like India, like a country like India, gets mentioned by a John Cena gives you a little warm, gushy feeling. In this day and age, when you've got so much hate and problems and trouble and war and all the bad stuff, John Cena mentioned Asha Bhosle, who's an Indian icon, and it just makes you proud.
Yeah, and I think Priyanka Chopra was talking about her red bindi that was so iconic, that really kind of stood out and would be remembered by so many people.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the world.
People proud.
This is the Merv Brito Show, and our thoughts and prayers do go out to her family. She was an icon and she was sorely missed, but she's left behind such a huge wealth of absolute gifts to the world.
Yeah.
With her voice, her singing, her music. Asha Bhosle was a larger than life dude.
Huge legacy. Absolutely.
We're going to have to end the show. We're going to end it on that note. We're very proud of some of the good things that Indians that have done around the world. Yes, Joanne?
I was just going to say, Andrew, he was one of our guests last year.
Who's Andrew? Your cousin Andrew?
Okay. Yeah, it was his birthday last Monday. So just a shout out to Andrew, because I know he's on holiday, because he's a teacher. So he was on Easter holidays also. So he
Happy
had
belated
a really
birthday.
nice birthday. So love you lots, Andrew. Have a great year ahead.
For anybody out there celebrating a birthday today or any other day, we'd love to hear from you guys. We are taking it down to ending another edition of the Merv Brito Show.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find out a lot more about us. You can hear a lot more about what we've spoken about and research and look into what we're talking about. If you want to know more about us, check out our social media handles, wherever you get your social media from.
Yes.
We've got a website, www.themervbritoshow.com. If you like what we're doing, you'd like to support us, like, share, subscribe, talk about us, tell somebody about us. We really appreciate you spreading the word and showing your support. There's a lot of episodes we've done and we've talked about different topics.
Yeah.
But basically, the reason we do this show, it's a live broadcast show from Goa. We talk about things that are trending and topical that are happening right now around Goa, India, and around the world.
Yep.
There's a lot of information you can get. Check out the website, check out our social media. We do appreciate your support. If you're celebrating anything, you want to send a shout out, you want to wish somebody, you want to call anybody through our show, we'd love to hear from you. 7507-246-246. Get in touch with us. Leave us a comment. We will read it out. It's not always going to be perfect and proper, but we'd love to hear from you. Thank you. That's going to take us to the end of another show.
Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in. And until next Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the team here at the Merv Brito Show, have a wonderful week, a great Sunday evening. And until next Sunday, this is Merv Brito saying, I'm out.